Hey everybody, welcome back to Board Game Blender. My name is Zee Garcia. Today we are talking about heavy games. We're calling it weightlifting. And of course, when we talk about heavy games, we could mean two things. We could mean games that are physically heavy, have a lot of components, nice chunky plastic miniatures, all of that good stuff. Or we could simply mean a game that is difficult to understand, has many rules, takes a lot of involvement, mental power, a heavy, thinky game. And those two things do not necessarily, of course, go hand in hand. And so today we're hopefully going to explore a little bit some games that have one, perhaps not the other, some games that combine those ideas, and maybe it'll help you sort of figure out the kinds of games that you enjoy the most on those two opposing scales. Before I kick off the show, however, I had a contest on the last Board Game Blender, and today we have our winners, which I'm going to write right below. Congratulations to everyone who won, and a big thanks to everyone who entered. Big thanks, of course, to Asmodee Digital for helping us run this contest, for providing those codes for the Onirim app. And I definitely would recommend that if you did not win a code, if you went and checked out the game, if you have not checked out the game, go check it out. Go buy a copy. The game it's really fantastic. They did a great implementation of the physical card game into an iOS or an Android app. Top-notch stuff, really. So, that's it for us. Again, congrats, and let's kick off the show.
Howdy folks, welcome to the Player Showdown. I'm Hunter and that's Rebecca, and we have a special guest today.
Hi, I'm Nessa Kai.
And today we are looking at Pitch Car.
Very heavy game.
What's Pitch Car about, Ness?
Pitch car is about flicking and racing.
Let's take a closer look. So like Nessa said, this is a racing game where you flick discs around a track. We've set up a track for an example. You can make a slightly bigger track than this with the base game, but this is a good little example track for us to do. So the way the game works is, obviously, you have a little wooden discs, you flick them, and you flick them any way you want to, you just can't push. And by the rules, if you run into someone and you knock them off the track, they go back on the track and you go back to where you were. If you go off the track, you go back to where you were before you shot. Okay? You can do any number of laps. You can do one lap for a simple race, or you can do more laps for a bigger race, right, Ness?
Mm-hmm.
How many laps do you usually do?
Usually 3.
3? 3 is a good number. Well, we're going to do one lap to show you guys how Pitch Car works, okay? So what color you want to be, Ness?
Sand.
Alright, I'm going to be green. What color are you going to be? Alright. Let's do this. Alright, so we're going to go, the starting line, we're going to go this way. I'm going to kind of flick backwards, and I'm going to stand up so that you can see the board. Alright, Ness, you want to go first?
Sure.
Not bad, not bad. Okay. And
you
do a backwards.
Hey, not too shabby.
Alright, so then once you do one flick, whoever's in the lead goes first, and Nessa is in the lead.
Yay!
So Nessa can go first. You can move the disc a little bit out so you can hit it. Alright.
Decent.
Oh, derailed.
Derailed. I go first again.
What happens then, Hunter?
And you go back to where you shot. You set off the track so that you won't be in the way.
So you go dead last.
Alright. Alright, not too bad.
I'm going to let you hit for me. Oh, man, I am on your heels.
Daddy!
Ah, history repeats itself.
Well, you keep going off the
Alright,
track.
go Ness.
Man, you're annihilating me. We're both annihilating me.
Alright, here's where I make my comeback.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going to win.
And
First place! First place!
So yeah, there is a quick little one-lap game of pitch car. Obviously, this game in the box plays up to 8 players, and you can get 2 sets and play even more than that if you want. So what do you like in pitch car, Ness?
I like pitch car because of all the tracks and the little bridge. I like flicking over the little bridge even if people make mistake. I really like that.
So what Nessa's talking about, let me pull it off the shelf here. You can buy, I think there's up to 6 expansions now for pitch car. The one she's mentioning is the jump, and there's a little jump with a bridge. That's the one you're talking about, right?
And there's also an under thing that you can slide under, and it's really hard to get through it.
Yeah. So what is your absolute favorite thing about pitch car?
It's like the cars they designed.
No, you like how the cars look?
Yeah, I like how the cars look. Even I have 3 favorites. I have yellow, a pink, and a sand.
All right. Rebecca, why do you like pitch car?
I like it because you can play 1 to 8 players, or actually more. They have tournaments, and we played in one where there were 30 people playing on the same track, and there's no variant. It's great for all ages. That's pretty much my big plug for this. So it's great 2-player, great family, great gamer game. It's one of those games that everybody can get into.
So a couple of things about it. Obviously, it is a very heavy game. It weighs a lot. It takes up a lot of space. Like I said, this isn't the full base game track. It's even bigger than this. And when you start adding extensions on, it can take up half your house. So keep that in mind. There is a pitch car mini version of this game, and I haven't played it myself. I don't know how well it plays, but if space is a concern or weight is a concern, you could get that as well. But these are very, very sturdy. I know some of you guys cringed when I dropped it on the table, but this is really heavy-duty wood, and then they're sturdy pieces. Meant to last a long, long time.
Yeah. So go check out Pitch Car.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hello everyone! This weekend I'm going to my annual board gaming getaway organized by my student board game association. And of course, picking which games to take along is crucial. And I really want to take Arcadia Quest with me, with all its Kickstarter goodies and all the miniatures I painted. But there's a problem. Arcadia Quest currently fits in 5 boxes. And as you've all probably noticed by now, I'm not that tall. Since I was 12 years old, I've been the proud owner of 157 centimeters, and that hasn't changed over the years. So that does come in very handy when having to navigate fast through large crowds, but as you can imagine, when having to carry heavy games, it is a big disadvantage for me, especially when the games are almost as big as my whole upper body. But I have a solution for that has proven quite useful in past heavy lifting experiences. A boyfriend! They come in very handy for all kinds of situations. Important when picking one is that they are taller than you are and that they approve of you using them for labor. It's perfect! You can be totally stress-free, thinking about all the Arcadia Quest heroes you're going to use. Maybe Anna. I'm going to use Diva or... Sorry, what?
Anna, we've talked about this. I'm not coming along this weekend. You have to lift the games yourself.
What?
Hello, my name's Dan, and this is my board gaming time capsule. Now then, no one really knows what's going to happen in the future, but what we do know is that global warming will lead to all the ice caps melting, the sea levels rising, and the entire surface of the world being covered in water. Not only will this cause significant damp problems and at least a 15% drop in property prices, there's going to be all sorts of other unforeseen circumstances too. Aquaman will suddenly become the most powerful member of the Justice League, sales of waterproof Spot-It will go through the roof, and the immersion of the entire planet underwater is likely to cause complete havoc with the public transportation system. The British rail network is already notorious for outlandish excuses why trains are late, leaves on the line, the wrong type of snow. And the fact that the trains and the railways are 200 foot underwater would be just the excuse that Network Rail will be looking for in order to cause significant delays between Huddersfield and Manchester, especially on a Sunday. It might even get to the point where people give up on trains altogether and the railways are completely abandoned in favour of catamarans and dinghies. And so it's important that we preserve the heritage of the railways for the people of the future, so that they know how we used to travel around, how we used to wait at stations for hours, and how we used to all be crammed in together quite uncomfortably. And that's where this game comes in. Railways of the World. Railways of the World is an absolutely fantastic route building, pick up and deliver game. That's sort of a bit like Ticket to Ride on steroids, with a box size to match. Designed by Martin Wallace, it's got two slightly more complex siblings, Steam and Age of Steam. But while I'm sure those games are great, I'm more than happy with Railways of the World, partly due to its fantastic production values, but also due to its accessibility to new gamers. If there's one flaw to the game, it's the expansion Railways of Great Britain. Okay, it's a great map and it plays really well. However, it falls victim to one of the most common mistakes in modern board game design: a complete absence of Huddersfield on its map. I mean, look at this, look! They've included Leeds and Sheffield, they've even included the village of London, but yet again, no Huddersfield. Not only does Huddersfield have an incredibly impressive station building, but it also has an internationally famous station cat. Just look how many likes it's got on Facebook. That's almost as much as the number of negative comments that Matthew Jude, the Dice Tower's voice of youth, gets on his board game breakfast segments. Huddersfield's absence from the map of this game is an absolute disgrace. But that fairly major flaw aside though, Railways of the World is one of my favourite games and I absolutely recommend it to everyone. It's fantastic. And so, all that's left to do is to pop Railways of the World into our board gaming time capsule.
Hi, I'm Daniele from Playcool, and this is 2 pros and 2 cons in 2-3 minutes. One good thing about heavy games is the feeling that they give you in your hands, the pieces. And I have here, for example, Flick 'em Up, the wooden version. It's really a great game about flicking discs to your towards your opponent's figures. They are cowboys, and so the box is all wooden and very heavy, and it gives you the feelings when you take it, oh, I'm gonna play with a toy. Haba is a huge success among kids because of the wooden components in the box and the heavy boxes and the big toys they give you. And this is something like a giant Haba box from Pretzel Games that give you a lot of components to play around. I bought then my custom huge mousses to play around, and I'm so happy to have this wooden version instead of the plastic one. I know this is also good, the plastic one, but I'm sure the feeling is different, and only the best plastic can give you something comparable. The second point is about theme, and this guy here can tell you everything already without me speaking. Can you imagine cardboard token instead of this? The miniatures in Imperial Assault give you half of the game and the fun. So it's something that happens often with miniatures games. It's not the same thing. It's not. So there are also cons, obviously, and one of the cons is about shipping. I live in Switzerland, and getting the game from the US sometimes is hard. I buy mostly games here, obviously, but something maybe is not available here, or it's only in German, and I want to get it in English, and so I try to get it shipped here. But if it's a heavy box like this, I want a jump car, for example, with wooden components to combine the 2 pretzel games here. But it doubles the price sometimes, right? When it's a wooden box and wooden components, and it's something that you have to keep in mind. For example, in that case, buying maybe the plastic version can be a better option. Another, and this is the last point, the cons that I have is the portability. You cannot go with this very much around and play that often. But if you have, for example, a portable version of Siedler of Catan, I know the Settlers, right? And this is a previous version than the one, the trapezoid that they sell now, but it's the same idea of having something very light and portable with the small resources, the sheep and the rest. That is something to keep in mind. It's something that is a con for heavy games. They are not very portable in comparison to their portable Cowsons, if it makes sense. That's it. That was the first installment of 2 pros and 2 cons in how much time has passed? So minutes. I'm Daniele, and talk to you next time.
Hello folks, Mark here, and welcome to Thinking Inside the Box. In this series, I'm focusing on components, inserts, storage solutions, and games that already do both really well. Today, we are taking a look at the world of Mechs vs. Minions. A hefty contender, this game weighs in a little over 12 pounds. Mechs vs. Minions from Riot Games is a cooperative tabletop campaign for 2 to 4 players, set in the world of Runeterra. Players take on the roles of 4 young intrepid Yordles, new mech pilots, Quirky, Tristana, Heimerdinger, and Ziggs. Huh? Yes, Ziggs, yes. I'm getting to it. The Yordles must join forces and pilot their newly crafted mechs, so shiny, against an army of marauding minions to save their school. With modular boards, programmable command lines, and a story-driven campaign, each mission will be unique. It will put your teamwork, programming, and piloting skills to the test. The player mechs and boss figures are all pre-painted and so beautifully done. There, happy Ziggs? Happy? This is easily in my top 5 games of all time, and for a guy who loves a good insert, boy does this game knock it out of the park. So let's take a closer look. Okay, so every part of this game screams luxury. From the moment you open the box, you realize this is something special. Riot Games got some help from Game Trades for this incredible insert. So many games require you to put minis back in specific molded spots, but they did something special with this insert. Any minion fits in any slot, doesn't matter the type. Pretty slick indeed. And look at these little guys. So cute. How could they be a threat? The boss. He's right behind me, isn't he? Not only does this insert have molded spots for all the cards, figures, and components, but the insert has all kinds of engravings and little details inspired by the game. Everything has a very mechanical feel to it. And of course the trays all have detailed molded lids to keep everything secure. Mechs vs. Minions also gets mad props for all the amazing player boards and components. Right down to this amazing hourglass. Look at this thing. Dice and these medallions. You really need to give this game a closer look. Chock full of amazing artwork, story, and humor. The hype train does not disappoint for this one. Well, for me anyway. I have never been so taken with a game before. Just the presentation level of this, the humor, the storytelling, all the components, it just goes into, it's not just a game anymore, it's an experience, and it's something not to be missed. Okay folks, happy organizing, and until next time, we will see you at the table. Hello, guys. How do we get off this thing?
Hello and welcome. I am very excited to be here. My name is Dean. I am from YCTV, Young Corpse Television on YouTube, and I'm truly honored to be a part of Board Game Blender. Today's episode, weightlifting. Now, when I was first told about this week's episode, it made me really question and self-analyze some of my board gaming purchasing habits, and made me really think, what am I doing with my time and or money? So, as an adult, going to be moving very soon, within the 3-4 month period, and as a tool to help me analyze my board game collection, hopefully yours at home, we spoke with top professionals, crack team of professionals, and we have developed the WTFFR scale, weight to fun factor ratio scale, and hopefully with this tool, we can decide what games make the cut, what games in the future should we purchase, or, save our time, let's save some time, let's save some money, and let's check out the scale right now. Ladies and gentlemen, we have our charts. Now, what we're going to do is, as referenced earlier, I'm going to be moving, and out of my 6 games, I'm going to chop them down to 3, pairing them up in categories, and for the first category I'm going to break out will be dexterity. Now, one of my favorite games of all time has to be Crokinole. I'm going to go ahead and flip over to the graphic cam, and wow, Crokinole, truly a just brilliant experience. A little pricey. You can probably pick something up on Amazon for like 50 to 60 bucks. Works great. This is the version on Amazon. I can vouch for this. Very nice. The box, however, is very large. Very large box. It is a dexterity game, but there is a lot of strategy. And of course, Crokinole will be paired up against Clask. Air hockey, foosball, that kind of vibe going on. The box is hefty, it's large. Actually, it's probably heavier than it is large. However, for me personally, I would say it's a lighter experience because you're more so reacting in real time opposed to Crokinole. There's a lot of strategy going on. It's like more like chess, action chess. Now for the miniatures category, this is going to be kind of controversial. Not really, fair matchup, maybe, maybe not. But let's talk about Ghostbusters. Cryptozoic, this came out on Kickstarter at about $100. You could probably pick it up now for like 80. Kind of a light experience. I would argue this is probably more complicated than it is heavy, because once you wrap your mind around what's going on in the box, you're basically rolling dice. Very limited as far as, strategery goes, especially when you compare it to something like Imperial Assaults. I mean, wow, truly a modern, just miniatures game. This is just like one of the more popular games, absolutely, in the last couple years. Heavy game, 4 instruction booklets, there's a lot going on. It's a heavy game. And for the last category, let's talk about some abstracts, some of my favorite games. Very similar, but let's talk about Battleship. This is I believe it is a reskin of an old school abstract French game, I believe. However, the box might be kind of deceptive. It feels like a kid's game. Let's go ahead and pop this real quick. It is a very small box. Medium experience. Definitely not heavier than Ghostbusters, so let's everybody calm down. But yeah, Battleship, super fun, more of like an area control style game, and of course is going to be going head-to-head versus Hey, That's My Fish. And how Hey, That's My Fish breaks down is this is a Final Fantasy, Fantasy Flight game. This is a remade version, so the box is very small. Compared to Battleship, I'm gonna go ahead and go to my video and make a quick comparison in real time. Very similar games, 15 to 20 minute experiences, hex, area control style stuff going on. What it really comes down to you, and this chart might make itself useful, is the parts themselves. Kind of some concessions made to get inside the smaller box. They went with cardboard, kind of a cheaper, smaller package. For me, I spend more time setting this board up than actually playing, unfortunately. And then something compared to a very similar experience, Battleship, obviously much bigger box. However, quality-wise, we're talking very quality poker chips, nice heavy weights. Truly feels like, when you bump the table, stuff's not sliding around. Hardcore, very nice, beautiful hex tiles. So for me, using the chart, I can obviously say that for me, weight's not really an issue, and thus, let's go back to the graphic. I mean, Hey, That's My Fish. We had a good time, but you have to go. 2 spots left. We're going to look at the miniatures. Now, Ghostbusters, arguable. I'm kind of learning about myself a little bit, so I think I'm going to adjust my heat matrix here. And I got to say, this goes closer to here because I enjoy, I don't mind the weights. But Ghostbusters, arguably, like I said, it's more of a complicated experience opposed to a timeless classic like something like Imperial Assault might be. So Ghostbusters gets the axe. And unfortunately, in the last category, we have Clask versus Crokinole. Crokinole for me is truly the superior experience. And Classic, as fun as it is, if a choice had to be made, you can tell it's kind of petering off the graph more so because for Crokinole, I mean, Crokinole's a winner there. So for me, boom, boom, boom. We're going to go ahead and make that go away. Classic, bam, and there you go. I'm going to come back and we're going to go ahead and make some sense of all this and be right back. So, in conclusion, I have to say that the weight to fun factor ratio scale, kind of useful. Probably not for most. That being said, I learned a lot about myself today. Me personally, I have to say, the takeaway from this exercise is that not only do I appreciate heavy games in the literal sense, bigger boxes, heavier components, I just don't mind it. I don't know. For me, it's a sense of quality. It's a sense of pride, owning the best version of a game, owning a quality product that will last the test of time. And for me, weight, the literal sense, is all about that. I don't mind it. I'm going to move. I'll get the second U-Haul truck, and I'll just pay the extra 45 bucks for the second U-Haul truck. So, YCTV, Young Corpse Games, thank you, and catch you on the next Board Game Blender, hopefully. We're blending. This is blending.
Hey guys, it's Nerd E, and we're back for another edition of Board Game Blender. And today we're talking about heavy games. The heaviest game out there, well, maybe not, but at least they purport to be a very heavy game right now, is Gloomhaven. 20-something pounds of game. If you've seen the contests that were out there, you've seen the headlines. It's still on Kickstarter right now, I think. Great game. We're going to be talking about it now in the Who Am I segment. So here we go. Where am I in Gloomhaven? Well, in Gloomhaven, I'm in Gloomhaven. Around the town of Gloomhaven, I'm characters going on quests, crawling in dungeons, I guess you could call it, and doing whatever I can to beat the baddies, solve the scenario goal, and then move on, build my character up higher, and go to the next scenario after that. So who am I in this? Well, the who am I really in this is I'm one of the characters. I'm playing as a role, sort of role-playing, I guess you could say, in this game. And even though most of the game takes part in the tactical realm, it's moving the guy around, doing the fights, there is some decision-making required, but it's as a group. So the role-playing is very minimal as far as actually making decisions, storyline driven, but there is some of that. But most of it's the tactical movements during the rounds, and you're building your character to make them better strengths and weaknesses as you get more levels, etc. So how am I? Well, if you're playing with other people and you're just taking control of one character, it's great. You really are feeling like you're that one character trying to build up your strengths and weaknesses and do that. But for me, who's playing it solo, and you can watch it on my YouTube channel, Nerdy Videos, you can watch me play all of the campaign through start to finish as a solo. I'm playing as multiple characters. So I'm really like a field general. I'm over all of them. I feel like I'm playing sort of a Mass Effect game with all the different characters, or something like that, Dragon Age, whatever, where I'm in the midst of the battle saying, okay, this character do this character do that, do this character do that. I'm not necessarily doing stuff that my character in its role or its thought processes would do, but more what's best for the group. So if you're playing just as a multiplayer and you're playing as a single character, I think it's fantastic. I think if you're playing it solo, the who am I and all that is kind of, it's more of a puzzle to solve than it is playing as a character. I still love that, it's just not the same flavor. So it's two different types of games, if you play it with multiple characters or if you play as just a single character. But that's Gloomhaven, you gotta check it out, it's fantastic. And like I said, check out my video on Nerdy Videos. I've got all the different scenarios I'm going through, and I'll be doing more soon. But thanks!
For today's Quirky Game, I'm taking a look at Project Elite. Project Elite here is one that certainly falls very much in the physically heavy category. This is a huge box filled to the brim with big chunky plastic miniatures, cards, boards, lots of things going on. But the gameplay itself, while not brain dead, is on the lighter side, which is not something you typically see from this kind of design, this kind of production, right? In the game, players are going to be cooperating and running around, shooting monsters, taking care of the baddies, trying to traverse the board, protect certain locations, things like that. So typical sort of run and gun style gameplay, but the big twist here is that the game makes you do these things in real time. And so while I think it would have been pretty interesting and possibly simpler to simply say we are making a squad-based, take turns around the table, cooperate together, take out these aliens kind of game, they decided to go a different route with it and turn the whole idea on its head with a real-time aspect to it. There's been a few real-time games out there, but they're usually not miniature-based fighting, squad combat kind of games, which is what I think makes this one such a quirky and different experience. It's one that I'm sure is going to be very, maybe not off-putting, but it'll catch people unaware because they're going into it looking at this cover thinking one thing, they're going to get a very different thing. But if this quirky originality is what you're seeking from board gaming these days, then I think Project Elite is going to surprise you in a very positive way. It's one that I myself, when I first sat down to play, wasn't sure about. You know, I thought, this seems like such trouble for so little game. But it grew on me the more I played it, even that one session. As I continued to play, I allowed the game to work on its own terms, and it opened up. And it's not that light. There's a lot of things to consider in the game. But the idea of having time pressure put on you really forces the vibe and the story of the game's attempting to tell to come into the play experience. Many games have been doing this lately. One of them, a great example, is Captain Sonar, in which you are part of a submarine crew. And the game's real time, but it also puts you in that setting in a very visceral way. I think Project Elite also manages to capture some of that vibe, some of that feeling. So, for our quirky game of the day, a game that is very heavy physically, not so heavy mechanically, but the experience is going to be all punch, and I very much would recommend you check it out.
Something doesn't feel right as you're walking towards the house on the hill. Actually, you might even call it a mansion. But you know the streets of Innsmouth aren't much better. Luckily, you're not alone. Along with 4 other investigators, you'll try to solve the mystery of what's happening inside this mansion. Let's just hope you finish your investigation before whatever is in there hurts you, or maybe even makes you go insane. Hello everybody, my name is Robert, and I'm the Co-op Gamer. And today, I want to talk to you about Mansions of Madness, 2nd edition. This is a fully cooperative game for 1 to 5 players. The game requires an app to play that takes the role of the keeper or game master of the 1st edition. In this game you'll search for clues and explore the area to complete your investigation. After that, you'll want to get out as soon as possible, all while fighting different kinds of monsters. When you start the game, the app tells you how to place the map tiles to form the game board. It also indicates where you should place search and explore tokens. A round of Mansions of Madness consists of 2 phases. First, the investigator phase, where each investigator gets to take 2 actions. After that, the Mythos phase, where a negative Mythos event might take place and all monsters move and, if possible, attack. The main actions you'll take on your turn are move. You can move up to 2 spaces. You can even move 1 space, perform another action, and move the 2nd space. Search. You do this by interacting with the app. You'll click the corresponding search token and the app will tell you what you find. Explore. Clicking the corresponding explore token in the app usually reveals a new section of the board. Interact. Use the app to interact with a person or interact token in your space. And trade. You can use this action to trade possessions with other investigators or pick up possessions in your space. You usually win the game when you complete your investigation and escape. However, if an investigator loses all its sanity, he becomes insane. This might give the investigator a different win condition. If any investigator loses twice its maximum amount of health or sanity, the game ends after the next investigation phase. If the investigators haven't completed the scenario by that time, they all lose. The game comes with 4 scenarios. By this time I've played the first, second and fourth one, and won the first and fourth scenario. But every time it was a very close call, so the game seems to be very well balanced. I really like this game, and once I've completed all the scenarios that come with the base game, I will definitely buy expansions. That's it for me. My name is Robert, the Co-op Gamer, and I hope to see you next time.
And that's going to wrap it up for us, everybody. A big thanks to all of you for tuning in. Big thanks to my contributors, as always. Many of them have their own media outlets. Make sure you check them out. Follow them on Twitter and InstaFace and all of that good stuff. And come on back in a couple of weeks for our next episode. And as always, hey, stay a friend of the blend. I'll see you next time.